kind of technically a sad story for this guy, how a tech billionaire lost $128 million buying a Lake Tahoe vacation home.
Yeah, this has been our most popular article of the month, actually, on activenorcal.com. And I can't pronounce this guy's name.
I was hoping you were going to do it, so I didn't have to.
Chamath Palahapitia.
I actually follow him on Twitter because he's one of the
stonk guys.
Stonk guys, yeah, and I fell into that as I'm wearing a stock shirt.
Yeah, he's a venture capitalist, billionaire, like I said, owner of the Golden State Warriors. And it was just, well, for one, Lake Tahoe was rated like one of the top real estate markets in the country. It's all these people fleeing from the Bay Area, much like Sacramento, as you and I are sort of experiencing right now. And so he purchased a trucky home, a vacation home, as all these tech billionaires do. I mean, Zuckerberg purchased an entire neighborhood, but he purchased a home and he paid, what did he pay? 2,739 Bitcoin, and the house was worth 1.6 million. Nice little Tahoe vacation home, if I do say so myself. Through Bitcoin inflation, that house, that person now has 129 million instead of the 1.6 million.
So what I thought of right away was this guy can technically make an argument that the property is worth that much. I mean, if you have if you have a professional come out and evaluate the estimated property, you're like, yeah, well, I actually paid this much for it.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder.
I don't think the guy's hard up for money, so it's not that big of a deal. He just wish he would have maybe not used Bitcoin to purchase this home. If he just used cash, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
So Bitcoin must have been 2014. It must have been worth like 5,000 a pop back then. Now it's worth close to 60.
It was up to 61. I think it's down to 55,000.
This article's outdated then, so now it's closer to whatever 140 million. So this, we're leading off with this because it really people really responded to this article, how he lost all that money. But I guess that's what being a billionaire in the tech world is like these days.
Bitcoin is such a finicky beast. You think that the bubble's over and then it skyrockets. I mean, there was a point in time where Bitcoin weren't worth $1, right? They were worth less than $1, and now we're talking about, I mean, today's a bad day. I just checked. They're worth $55,400 per Bitcoin. It's insane.
But that's still a lot. Yeah.
If you got those diamond hands, I mean.
I wonder what the house is actually worth now, because the market has almost probably doubled since he bought it back in 2014. So, I mean, we say he lost all that money, but in reality, he actually is probably made money on that investment,
So I didn't see a home. I saw that it was, isn't it just a property? I mean, I have not seen a picture of a home. I mean, it makes sense to build a home there.
They don't have it is a big property, but there was a home on it.
Okay.
I'm sure he added a bunch to it, being the billionaire that he is.
And the fact that they don't mention the home, it was probably shitty, and they just were like, it doesn't matter. The property's worth this much.
Right. No, I think it was a nice home, 1.4 acre property right on, the North Lake of Tahoe. This is also a story of how Tahoe has changed, right? Tahoe was not necessarily a rich person's place 10 years ago.
I don't know. 10 years ago, I think it was. I think maybe 20 years ago it wasn't.
I mean, I didn't see it that way. Maybe I had Tahoe passes back then, and I had friends that lived there, and I spent a lot of time in Tahoe. It didn't seem that way. I certainly didn't read about it as much as you read about it today, but, I think the Silicon Valley has changed so much that, these people want to get out of it now. And by the way, a lot of these billionaires just buy these properties in Incline Village, which is in Nevada, so they don't have to pay taxes, and they can hide away their money that way from the IRS. But
I was like, okay, well, when do I think that the whole rich, the people of wealth came to Tahoe to seek refuge, and the first person that came to mind was Bill Gates. So I just Googled when he bought his home in Tahoe. It's 1988. So way before
he might have sold that too.
I think he did. I think it actually says he sold it for like he bought it for $2 million, sold it for $127 million. So he had a $125 million profit.
Yeah, but Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, all these guys have massive places in Tahoe, right on the lake. And like I said, Mark Zuckerberg, he bought like two different, they're cabins, but they were wedding venues, and he paid like $50 million each. He paid like $100 million for his entire block in I think it's near Tahoe City probably, but so that's another way that Tahoe's changed. People can't get married there as easily. If they are, it's a lot more expensive. I mean, it's just, and it begs the question, what will Tahoe look in another 10 years?
Well, I'm glad that you said look, because to me, Tahoe looks the same. Tahoe is still, they got the wood on the outside of every building.
Right.
It's just a very woody place. It doesn't feel like a town. It's not San Francisco. It's not Los Angeles. It's not, the Silicon Valley. It's super its own entity. There's not an area that feels the same, but I mean, knowing how much more it's kind of worth now than it was, it really has not changed looks very dramatically to me.
It hasn't gentrified, although there are projects out there that are looking to seriously gentrify it, and they will significantly increase traffic issues in Tahoe, something that it already has, and it's been building for the last 20 years. It doesn't have the roads to take in all these tourists, and, places like Squaw are really, developing big, massive places for these Bay Area families to come, and it creates huge issues. So I do think it will change significantly in the next 10 years, and there's all these conservation groups that are trying to stop it, and money talks. I don't know if they'll be able to.
That's the one caveat to what I just said is the ski resorts. They are improving dramatically quickly.
They're owned by massive companies that are just looking at their profit sheets, and you can't blame them in that. I call it the Vailification of Tahoe. And, North Star looks nothing like it looked, 10 years ago. A lot of these places are in that sense, those places are gentrified already. I mean, North Star, you go to that village, that is gentrification.
That's what I'm saying. They're taking, they're making those little mountains kind of non-existent anymore. They're really, the big guys are taking over. The Squaws, the Sierras, the North Stars are dominating.
Well, Sierra has stayed locally owned, and that's kind of one of the only ones. There's a lot of small mom and pop shops that do well. They just don't have the terrain that Squaw does. They don't have the terrain that Heavenly is huge, and that's Vail Resorts.
I will say Sugar Bowl. I've already seen them advertised, pop up on YouTube.
They're great.
So they are absolutely getting out there trying to.
Yeah, I don't know who owns Sugar Bowl.
Sugar Bowl, we're in Sacramento. Which isn't that far from Tahoe, but they are them, and I actually saw Mount Shasta, several Mount Shasta commercials as well. So shout out to them as well.
Yeah.